Green is the new gold. Our 18-hole Nicklaus design, award-winning golf course and clubhouse will leave you green with envy. We don't just say, we do. It's the Stain City way.
Hello and welcome to Real Talk with me, Anele. Day 3 of the new season, live, and with our new look, courtesy of At Home. With me today is a man who, way before Twitter and Instagram, gave us a glimpse into the ins and outs, the good, the bad, the ugly of the entertainment industry. Starting off as a court reporter, he then ditched that for the people in front of the lights and cameras. But it's never been about him, because the real articles have always been about what it makes them human and fallible, just like us. Award-winning celebrity journalist, Sowetan Entertainment Editor at the moment. He's here, he's in the house. His name is Lesley Mofokeng.
Hello. Hello, Anele.
You're such a gentleman. Hello.
Oh, calm.
You know, you're so
and respectful, sort of man.
And every time I come around you, I'm like here, and you're like, hello, Anele.
And I'm like,
then I'm like, sweet.
Yeah, well, now we're like, are you okay?
Listen,
Yes.
before we get into anything, I just need to set the foundation. So celebrity journalist, right? Because it's highly debated. You are a journalist who focuses on celebs, and you are not a journalist that is a celebrity.
It makes me very uncomfortable. I do not see myself as a celebrity. I see myself as a journalist. I'm living my dream. When I started out in life, studying journalism at the University of the Northwest, in Mofokeng, I wanted to work for newspapers. I wanted to write stories. I wanted to tell stories.
So ultimately, writing then turned you into a kind of a celeb. Just like, for instance, I always say this to people, Serena Williams didn't think she was going to be a celebrity. All she wanted to do was to play tennis properly, right? So when she became the best tennis player, that made her a celeb. So therefore, you became the best writer, and that made you a celeb.
Well, best writer is also debatable. No, I detest celebrity title. Call me something else.
Something else.
But not
well-known
celebrity.
writer.
Maybe then, because I worked for big titles, I suppose, like the Sunday Times, like City Press, like Sowetan. Those are big names that gives you such a big audience. So I suppose then with the big numbers, you do that.
All right. So let's backtrack. Let's go to Katlehong.
Yes.
Day before June 16?
That's when I was born.
15, you know?
June 1576, you are not allowed to forget my birthday.
Ever.
No.
So you were in Katlehong, then promptly afterwards, then you were moved to live with your grandparents in Mofokeng.
In Mofokeng.
What is now known as Mofokeng, right?
Yes, yes.
Would you say that's where you fell in love with the art of writing, through the love of your grandparents and your mom?
I learned different lessons from these different places. Yes, I was born in Katlehong on the East Rand at Natal Spruit Hospital, and I grew up in Mofokeng, but I used to come to Johannesburg, obviously, for the holidays to be with my parents. And my mother is an avid news reader. She loves
always gave you newspapers.
She loves newspapers. Her thing is locking herself up in her room and ignoring everyone and reading her newspapers. And she always loved the Sunday Times and would borrow the City Press from the neighbors. Those were the two main titles back then for black people. And I suppose I got fascinated by this paper that my mother keeps reading all the time.
Because as a child, you know, you like what your love and the person you're always around likes.
Yes.
So now when people are like, oh, my child likes a cell phone, it's because you always holding a cell phone.
Exactly that.
Yeah, so that's what it's it. Your mother was always...
The connection is there. But also at school, I was actually, I'm not going to lie about this, but I was actually a good writer.
Okay.
When I was in primary school, actually, my essay was selected to go and represent the school at the provincial level, because I grew up back in the days of Buputatswana, and we were supposed to write this essay celebrating the 10 years, if not, yeah, it must have been 10 years, of Buputatswana and life in Buputatswana.
Okay, so this is in standard 4.
Standard 4.
Okay.
I don't know what grade it is. Standard 4, yes.
Oh, grade 6. No, it doesn't matter. So the HIV essay that you wrote in high school.
That was in high school.
Okay, where did that take you?
That one made me the star of the show of the school. It was read at assembly. you know, I look back at it and I see what I was doing. I remember some of the words that I used and how I constructed the sentences and the prose here and there. But there were a lot of factual inaccuracies that my teachers overlooked. But I think they...
Lie to us, Lesley.
I mean, I spoke about things like private parts falling off.
Oh, wow.
And I remember that lines that after a while your penis will fall off.
Okay, but maybe you were
19...
alluding to, like, you know, STDs and...
Yes, but this is 1992. There was so much ignorance about HIV.
But then what prompts you to write about it? Is it something that it's like a monster, you're scared of it? What prompts you to be in high school worried about a virus?
No, I suspect there was an assignment that we were given. We were supposed to talk about the dangers of HIV because it was gaining momentum. People were starting to talk about AIDS. People are dying from AIDS. So go write a piece about AIDS and its impact on society or on communities. And I, well, kind of went to town with it.
Now that you bring up the fact that there were a lot of inaccuracies, you remind me of Shonda Rhimes, right?
Yes.
She wrote a book, The Year of Years, and she opens it by saying, I'm a liar. I'm a good writer because I'm a liar. Do you know what I'm saying? So is this what you're telling us? That you're a good writer because you're a liar?
No.
Because she's one of the best writers in the world.
She is. She's an icon. But no, I think my inaccuracies were based on the ignorance of that time.
Okay.
I mean, right now, if you were to ask me to write about the impact of HIV/AIDS on society, it would be a different story altogether. And I think someone who would be in my position now, you know, would have a different perspective and would put things in a different way.
I hear
because they were much more informed about it, and you know, it's become part of life.
So you started a newspaper.
Well, if you call it a newspaper.
Oh, well, a paper with stories that you would hand out. You know, you were a little print mogul long before we could know it. You started a newspaper. What spurred that on?
Wow, Anele, I think you've done your research. This was right at the beginning of my university years. And I was worried about this dream that I have. Will I see it manifest? I mean, unemployment was already high. There was just so many challenges that young people faced. And I thought to myself, I should get my name out there and just write these stories. So I'd go to events in the village. There'd be a fight at a beauty contest.
Okay, and you write about that?
I'd write about that, and I'll go to the...
Brabiza, beat up.
Exactly, that was there.
Danger.
That was there. And then I'd go back to campus and print them out and photocopy them and go to the rank and hand them out to people.
And then people would be reading about the village news.
Exactly. That was there.
Okay.
That was my business model that I think I should have pursued, but it didn't take me anywhere.
So did you get to a point when if you'd get to an event, like, you know, let's say the opening of a hut, people look at each other like, Lesley's here, behave yourself.
Actually, it got there. It actually got there, where people would say, will you come and report about our event?
Wow.
But, you know.
But apparently you wrapped the government up the wrong way. What was that about?
Is it the government of Swaziland?
Yes.
Government of Swaziland. Well, that's my early years at the Sunday Times when I did a very, very controversial piece.
No, then it's not that. Boputatswana, back when you were in Mofokeng.
No, I was still a young child. The only thing that I remember about Boputatswana is that I mean, Boputatswana fell in 1994. I was a first-year student.
At Unibo.
And at Unibo.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when the AWB invaded the town, I happened to be one of the people that were around that scene where the 3 AW members were shot dead by a Boputatswana soldier. So, yeah, well, that's just, I was still too young to annoy Boputatswana. I was actually a fan of Boputatswana before I got enlightened, before I learned about life and what it meant.
I'm going to hold you. We must go to an ad break. So then the Boputatswana regime would then collapse. But for young Lesley Mofokeng, his passion for journalism would see him embark on a new journey into the career of journalism in the city of gold. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Real Talk with Anele. But before we get into it, you know most there's a weekly competition at home who sponsored the lovely set you see. Run a weekly competition with us. You don't want to miss out. A 5,000 Rand e-gift card. Enter using the details up on the screen right now. The weekly competition closes on Thursday at midnight and the winner will be announced on Friday, so get in there. My guest today, if you just joined us, is admired and respected for always being true to a story and never about the hype. I am, of course, talking about the veteran journalist Lesley Mofokeng. All right, so you are an editor of a newspaper in Varsity.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And then you almost miss a call from the Sunday Times.
Oh, yeah. Well, Anele, I mean, we didn't have cell phones back then.
Yeah.
We had to rely on landlines.
Right.
So, and Sunday Times had sort of visited universities all over South Africa looking for just 6 journalists to come and join their cadet program. And I was shortlisted. They couldn't get hold of me, but eventually they did get hold of me, come to Joburg for, you know, to come and be an intern, what they call an intern now. And there I met people like BBK, Barang Batu Gorgeous. We started together in this thing. Baba Shota. Baba Shota,
Wow.
yes.
Oh, wow. So now, obviously your mother thinks you've made it because, like you say, she worshipped the Sunday Times. Now they've called her son to go work there.
No, she hated it.
How?
She thought I had a death wish.
Okay.
My mother did not support my journalism dream. Because it was a time when they were killing a lot of journalists. It was a time of unrest and riots in the East Rand, and journalists were being were being killed, were victims of these attacks. And she thought I had a death wish. She's like, "You're gonna die in journalism."
So when you say to her that you're the court's reporter, you know, you
She
just go to court and find out what's happening in court.
But don't forget, in the beginning, when you start as an intern, you do everything. You have to learn. And she said, they're going to send you out to these war fields and you're going to come back a corpse, basically.
Okay.
But I think eventually she accepted that this was my dream and she could see what I was doing and that I sort of was not that bad. So she became a fan. But yes, it was, for me, I mean, I didn't think I would work for the Sunday Times. It's my first job.
Yeah, it's
But
quite a feat.
You have to understand it's my first job, like ever. I always tell people that every time they say, you must write a story about your life, I'm like, it's gonna be a bit boring because I never worked as a waiter.
Okay,
I never worked.
struggle as well, you know.
Well, I struggled. But the village I grew up in only got
Okay.
electricity in 2000. In Mafikeng Lotlhakane village.
Okay, I want to make a joke about how you covered the stories at night. Did you have a torch? But we're not.
No, we used torches, yes, and candles and
So it's not a joke.
lamps. No,
It's actually true.
it's actually true. It
Okay.
actually is true.
So how did you move from being a court reporter to becoming what we know now as a celebrity journalist doing the entertainment section?
Well, I mean, I was fascinated by celebrities. I really am fascinated by people like Anele Mdoda. I'm fascinated by the stories of what makes them and how they got to where they are. Because it is actually such a fight. I mean, the resources are very little in this country. And the competition is exceedingly stiff to get into the space of media.
Okay.
To be a DJ, I mean, how many DJs are there in the world and how many other dreamers out there want to be DJs or to be whatever? This space is very tight. And it takes some sort of, or let me say, it takes a different kind of person, a breed, a determination of sorts that not others have to get to the top of the ladder.
To even get in and stay
To even get in.
regardless of making to the top or not.
Yeah, and push back and stay there.
How did you, because I mean, 2017 reporting on, you know, celebrities is easy. There's an Instagram video, there's Snapchat, there's Twitter where people speak about it. So there's leads can be found very easy in 2017. Now we're going back to when you first got in. How were you getting your leads?
Sure. So you want me to spill the beans about my sources when I started in journalism?
You don't have to give us names.
Well, Anel, the thing is that back then, I remember when we walked into the Sunday Times newsroom and they said, the pub has to be your favorite place because that's where you're going to get the village gossip, that's where you're going to get talk of town. But I didn't drink. I still don't drink up to today.
So how did you do it?
So how did I do it? I sat on the phone. I went out to events a lot. I would attend 4 events in one night.
Okay.
And by the way, there's something that I didn't mention earlier on when you spoke about my upbringing and all of that. I was actually a very timid person. I still think I'm a shy person.
I think you are. You're still that.
I'm shy.
You have grown up, so you're a little more comfortable in your skin.
Well, I'm
but
40 now, and yes,
I can see you.
Yes,
Yeah.
no. But it was so difficult for me to approach Anele and say, Anele, this is me, and I would like to get your number. So that's how we did it back then. You had to approach people, you had to go to events, you had to introduce yourself, you had to wine and dine people. Newspapers had lots of money back then, so they'd have an allowance for entertainment.
Okay.
And you'd get called in if your 1,000 rand is not spent on lunches. This is back then. It doesn't happen anymore. What a life. What a life. I hobnobbed with Gwen Gill, with Joseph Fale, with like the veterans of the industry. I met a lot of people through that. That's how you got to get the news. And the nice thing about that is that I could sit on a story from Monday until Sunday.
And no one breaks
and no one
it.
will be, no.
It's not going to be on Facebook, not on Twitter, not anywhere.
No.
And you mull around it. You write it and then you rewrite it. And then
time.
Finally, before that, you go in.
Break the news. It doesn't happen like that anymore. News is broken on Twitter. And you have to do follow-up on Sunday. Or the following day if you work for a daily paper. So life has changed a lot.
Have you ever been scared
I have.
to write about someone?
I have been scared. I have been scared so many times. I mean, a lot of people who would remember this, in the early 2000s, I did a lot of reportage on Brenda Fassie.
Yes.
I mean, she was the biggest sensation, the biggest name in this country. Probably after Nelson Mandela, there was Brenda Fassie, the diva, the superstar. And I lived, she was my staple. And
So you just like literally just follow her?
I just followed. I was the paparazzi. I mean, I have stories about
Was she
Brenda
aware of
Fassie.
you?
She was aware of me eventually. We had a very interesting love-hate relationship. She would attack me.
Attack you physically?
Physically, yeah.
I can see her doing that.
Or we would, and then she'd meet me at an event and she'd give me a peck on my cheek and just cringe, like, go away.
So you never knew what was coming when you see her?
That is
you
the
like,
thing.
she could kick my behind
Absolutely.
or she could kiss me
Absolutely.
and invite me for a drink.
Absolutely. That was the relationship I had with Brenda Fassie.
Is this, what happened at the Summers?
The summers of 2002, if not 3, if not 1, so long ago.
Yeah.
So we were at the summers, we were on a table, we're having fun. And, you know, she's nice. She noticed me. She sits at the table with me, and there was Lilo Salute over there. I don't know, I think Athama Fokate, I'm not too sure. We had this table, and then she, after a few minutes, like maybe 40 minutes, she's won her first award. The wine bottle is halfway there. She notices that it's me, and then she starts. She's like, hey, Wena, so you're here. Are you going to write that nonsense that you always write about me? And I just sunk in my chair. I was just like, oh my goodness, this is it. The fight is here. And out of nowhere, there's this box of cigarette comes flying and hits me on my shoulder, hide almost under the table. And people jump up and restrain her. And Brenda was just in a foul mood. I mean, not only did she attack me, she attacked Mendoza that night. She attacked, I don't know the other person.
Did you write about this though, the next?
I did, I had to.
Obviously you
I
weren't
had
that
to.
scared.
No, I was, Anele, you see, the thing about journalism is that you actually have to be brave.
Okay.
You actually have to take that gamble, that risk, and say, whatever happens, I'm going to stand for the truth and report what's happening.
Okay, listen, I'm going to go to an ad break. I want you to sit with this question though. Have you ever been offered money to not write a story? I know you want to hear that answer, right? Come back. And welcome back to Real Talk right here on SABC3. My guest today is Lesley Mofokeng, who's just been talking to us about having the special gift of being able to suss out the juiciest of celeb news. Right now, we'll find out some of the most memorable interviews that he's ever done, and of course, writing Khanyi Mbau's biography. But before we do that, remember you and I gave him a question. Having written for the biggest of publications, right? Surely there's a story that was major and somebody who's got a lot of a lot of money, didn't want to see the story come to light. Have you ever been offered money to not write a story?
Yes, I have.
Is it a regular occurrence?
Not to me, not
Okay.
personally, not to me, not a regular occurrence, no.
When was the last time?
2004, 2005.
Can you see I want to ask what the story was?
You can ask. Actually, it was not even a story.
What was it?
And, you know, as much as I said you must be brave as a journalist and everything, but you also have to be a coward.
Okay.
So the gentleman came and said, I run this company and I've got these artists and I want you to write about them.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, they're interesting, tell me more about them. And actually some of them had legitimacy, you know, they deserved stories.
Okay, so they deserve the PR, they just weren't necessarily getting it.
Well, they were talented.
Okay.
So there could be stories that could be mined out of their stories, out of their biographies, out, you know, their music, their talent. So at the end of this meeting that we had, he hands me an envelope. And back then we used to have things called, I think they were called trainees. In other words, pictures. So I thought it was part of the publicity pay.
Oh, okay.
So I take the thing and I open it and it's like 500, not, it's like 100, 500 notes.
500 rand?
500 rand.
Okay.
500 rand. So I'm like, what is this for? It's like, no, it's for your cold drink. And this is, by the way, just outside the offices, outside the newsroom in the Times Media building. And I'm like, but you do realize that you are bribing me.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's a cold drink. Come on.
This can of Fanta is going to cost 500 rand.
No. You know, I've never been so scared. I just said, you know what? These people of yours deserve this. I'm going to write about them, but I don't need the money. So I handed it back and walked away, but I never made contact with the guy ever again.
Did you write about them?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I did not because it's just the water were muddied. The waters were muddied. It's just it made me very uncomfortable.
But I mean, how do you draw a line? Because you are someone who, for instance, here we go. You were invited to Miriam Makeba's house when she came back from being in exile for 45 years, right? So you kind of invited into that space. When you are getting invited, do you know under what hat you being invited, you know? Are you here to report on this? Are you here to also have fun? Are you here because she likes your work? Like, doesn't it, when you say the waters are muddied, aren't the lines also blurred at times when you are invited to things and you just don't know why you're here?
But you see, Anele, this has been my mantra, my thing ever since I became a journalist. That when you invite me to work.
Okay.
Unless if you've got, if we're friends and we make it clear that, no, just come and have fun. I'm not expecting anything from it. I'm not expecting to write a piece. I'm not expecting you to tweet about it. Just come and have fun. Then, you know, the terms are clear. But all the time, even this invite, I thought, maybe they want me to report on my experience of being on Anele or my, you know, for me, I'm always on that mode, the working mode.
I hear you.
A journalist never retires, a journalist is never off duty. It's a 24-hour calling. We don't have work hours. People say, can I take you out for lunch? And I always say, what time? And it's never 12 to 1. There's nothing like that.
It can be 8.
It can be 8 p.m.
Yeah.
There's no time in journalism.
So, when you know that you're always working, with Khanyi Mbau's book that you wrote with her, who approaches who? Does she come to you and say, listen, I think my story is worthy? Or were you so like blatantly writing about her all the time that you were like, if I could put these articles together, it's a book?
You know, a cousin of mine in Takung Masitele always tells me that I undersell myself. And I think I've missed a lot of opportunities because of that. The Khanyi Mbau book idea came from Facebook. A guy inboxed me. He kept inboxing me about writing a book on Kwaito. He said, document the history of Kwaito. You have the time. And I wasn't too sure how to do it. And then one day he changes tune and says, write Khanyi Mbau's biography. I was like, now I like that idea.
Okay.
And I met her actually at a Kardashians party. The Kardashians were in Joburg. It was just towards New Year's or New Year's Eve. And she was walking past and I grabbed her and said, can you do your book? She said, yes, let's.
But wait, did she, because you used to write about her.
Yes.
So wasn't she like Brenda Fassie and you're like, hey?
No. Khanyi, no. Our relationship with Khanyi was not like that.
Okay.
It wasn't that bad.
Okay.
No, it wasn't that severe. So she says, yes, let's do it, and I'm going to call you in the new year. She called me on the 2nd of January, and I knew that we were going to do this thing.
Okay.
And that's how the book came about. It took us a year to put it together, and it did so amazingly well. That book has sold over 5,500 copies.
Which is, I mean, for South African standards.
And you know, a lot of people said to me, why are you writing about someone that is so overexposed and we know so much about her? What's new? Why should we bother? But they get to the book and they realize that there is so much more that they don't know about her personality. One of my favorite chapters is called The Queen of England. And that story was not about, that chapter was not about Khanyi, it was about Khanyi's grandmother who ran the house like Buckingham Palace. It was about how you sit, how you speak, and the thread count on the sheets. It was like Buckingham Palace. She was a matron. She was an English lady in a black skin.
So what was the difficulty about that book?
The difficulty, I don't think there was any difficulty. I think it was an easy sell. I think the only challenge that we faced was people who thought that we were regurgitating stuff. It's people who said, we know her story, what's
there's
new.
Lamborghinis, there's Mandla Mthembu,
yes.
we know about it. But I mean, we didn't know about the grandmother in Buckingham Palace.
Yes, and we didn't know the real tragedy that she was trapped in as an abused wife, as an abused woman, trapped by the love of money and trapped in this horrible, terrible relationship with a man that was so controlling. So there were so many things, and I mean, people discuss this book in seminars and conferences. It really warms my heart when they, because some people think it's just bubblegum. It's just like, well, who's going to take it seriously? So it has done very well for her and for me. It has given me confidence to write more stories, write more books. I do want to write more books. I wish I had time, but I mean,
When are we ever getting a book about you?
When I am 40, no, I'm 40 now.
You're 40
when
now, okay. 1976 guy, come on.
And going senile. When I am, I don't know. I don't know. You see, I like the intro that you made now. You said in the beginning that it has never been about him.
Okay.
And that has been my thing about life, that the situation is bigger than you, the community. You know, I'm here to tell stories. I'm here to share and document the history of South Africa and celebrate the talent and all of that. I was never here to come with a team to push my name or to say, glorify him or whatever. It's never been about that.
Can I make it about you?
No, you
Quickly,
can't.
just 2 seconds. You interviewed Quincy Jones, okay? And he is easily the biggest musical maestro of our time.
Yes.
Let's say Quincy Jones decides he is going to write a song about Lesley Mofokeng. He's like, you know what? You know what I'm going to do, homeboy? I'm going to write a song about you. And all you have to come up with is the title.
Whoa.
What's the title?
Something fresh, something new.
No, not a rehash song, not a cover. He's writing a song about you. And all he's asking you is, give me a title, I'll run with it.
He wrote it.
He wrote it?
Yeah.
Oh.
He wrote it, he told it. He drafted the first...
I can look, a title can't be that long,
okay.
please.
I was getting to the words.
No, now you're writing the song for him. Okay, he wrote it.
It's a collaboration.
I like it. He wrote it. That's
He
quite
wrote
profound.
it.
Okay.
Jeez, I had to think
Now that
on
this
my
is in the
feet.
air, jump on board. Viewers at home, I want to know from you. Tweet us at Real Talk on 3. If Quincy Jones had to write a song about you and ask you for the title, what would the title of the song about your life be? Make sure that you hashtag Real Talk with Anele. Tweet away. I'm waiting. This is Real Talk with Anele, coming to you live from Saint City, right here on SABC3, where the stage is yours. My guest today, celebrity journalist and editor of Sowetan Entertainment, Lesley Mofokeng. Now, before we went to the break, I asked you to tweet us if Quincy Jones had to write a song about you, and all he wanted from your side is what is the title of the song. We'll read those tweets later. Right now, Mr. He Wrote It. I love the title, by the way. Apparently, I heard from someone that you are currently writing a book on a celeb, not about you now, on a celeb, a South African celeb.
I cannot confirm nor deny those.
You plead the fifth.
It is true, yes.
Male or female?
Male.
Okay.
I think it's a fascinating, confessional, tell-all. It's, you know, this guy, even when at his poorest, he was so rich with his experiences of life. Really? All the curveballs that were sent and thrown his way, he managed to do.
He was rich, then poor, then rich, then poor?
Rich figuratively.
So he's never been rich, wealthy?
I think he's wealthy now.
Now?
I think so. I think, I think so.
So are you writing the book with him or are you writing about him?
It's a collaboration, yes.
Okay.
We meet, we work together on the project. And I really think it's going to be one of the publishing highlights of the year.
When is it coming out?
It should be this month of
Oh,
April.
then you can tell us.
I cannot, because it's meant to be a surprise release.
Are you signed? NDAs, lawyers?
And lawyers are involved.
Your body will rock up in a river somewhere?
Yeah, from the back of a boot and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Okay, but when you release it, you're coming back here with the person so
I
we can
will.
talk about the book.
I would love to come because I really
Good
think
date.
that story, it's a true South African story, beating the odds, and just it's a snapshot of the entertainment industry. It's a tale of South African entertainment industry. It's let me shut up.
Yeah, you're gonna say more now,
yeah,
and I'm not gonna stop you because I actually want the scoop. So let me not lead you into temptation.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
so you're writing. Where's your writing haven? Where do the words flow easiest for you? Where do you go and situate yourself?
I love that question, Anele. I love that question because it is the most difficult thing, writing a book. Because you understand that this is not just the first draft of history. In newspapers, in newsrooms, in journalism, we do the first draft and then it goes. But now we have to crystallize somebody's life in 200 pages. And it has to be well written, it has to be fascinating, it has to be engaging, it has to summarize everything that well. So, where do I go? I find the oddest of places. I find libraries stimulating.
Okay.
I suppose because I'm surrounded by books and the ambience and the quietness. And I'm a morning person. I don't mind waking up at 4
to start writing.
But I also do late nights. I can start writing from 11 to 1 a.m. But I don't think that's my best. My best is in the morning when the mind is fresh and it's all quiet. But I also like going to different places to write. There's nothing as frustrating as routine for a writer.
Say that again?
There's nothing as frustrating as routine.
Okay, because then you get a blockage.
Yes, because you wake up, same walls, same curtains, same. So you need variety.
You're going to write the same thing you wrote yesterday if you're going to routine.
Exactly. And you have to,
So what's been the most difficult? Because, I mean, when you're writing, you've got writer's block. It's definitely difficult. That's the worst thing. So what's been the most difficult? Writing after having a writer's block, making your way out of a writer's block, rather. Celebrity Survivor, which you were in. Strictly Come Dancing, which you were in. So out of those three, which one would you say was the most difficult?
Most difficult or most embarrassing?
Okay, let's go with embarrassing.
Strictly Come Dancing.
Why? Because you were voted out early?
I was the first one to go. I was beaten by WHP.
Didn't WHP win it?
WHP won.
Then it's fine then.
It's not.
Oh, why? It's because WHP is like big.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I should have at least gotten to the finals or something. But
I know. Do you know what it is? Because I was on the Strictly Come Dancing after you guys,
were,
right?
yes.
And I remember all of us were like, the key is not to leave first. You can leave second, but don't leave first.
But that's wrong. I challenge that. Leave first or win. Who cares about who came second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever? People there was so much sympathy and like, shame. He was the first to go. Shame. So there was a lot of sympathy that I capitalized on and enjoyed the attention while it lasted. And I remember someone, Mary Martins, who was also in the competition, was like, Lesley, you've taken all the publicity. Everyone's writing about you because you're the first to go.
Yes.
But I think there are benefits on being the first one to go. Did you not win?
No, I didn't when I was in the final.
You were in the finals?
I know. It didn't. Look.
Well done.
That's why no one talks. Well done. Shame skepsel. I fell, remember? Thank the Pope YouTube wasn't around back then because you could still watch me wipe across the floor.
Oh, Lord, no. Strictly Come Dancing or something.
You joined Survivor and you couldn't swim. I mean, Lesley.
You know, these blacks of today, these clever blacks who have swimming pools and can't swim. I only realized when you got there that you have to swim. So I stood there like a bozo and waited for life jackets and things. It was not only me, there was Dimakatso Motau from Sunday World, Sunday Sun, who was also in the same boat as me. And we had to be helped and like carried on the back of these other swimmers to shore. It was embarrassing also. It was quite an experience. But I mean, what a life.
So I mean, you've done a lot of things that kind of take you out of you're just a journalist, right? They kind of put you in the limelight and they challenge you in certain ways. What have you turned down? What have you been offered and you, well, besides the cool drink money, what have you turned down in terms of, you know, come to a cooking show or come to a talk show where you're on a panel? What have you turned down?
Anele, you know what, the thing about television is that I don't know how you do it. It takes so much out of you. You give so much of yourself. Not only do you have to sound good, you have to look good, you have to be intelligent, you have to. So the pressures of TV is one thing that I run away from. But when they said Real Talk with Anele, I was like, you know what, actually I'm a fan of Anele.
Let me try this.
I'd love to see her and I'd love to sit down with her and also have some sort of a retrospective on my life. Last year I turned 40, as I said earlier on. And I have never paused to think about how blessed this life, how noble, you know, this thing has been, this ride has been for me. And I thought, maybe let me take this opportunity to go think and just express my gratitude and share my story and my journey with Anele. But really, TV is one of those things that I go like, no thanks, I'll pass.
Okay, so you turned that down a lot.
Yeah, no, yes. Radio is easy, it's your voice.
Okay,
you can be in your
I hear what you're
pajamas
saying.
and look like a mess, but you sound great, fine. Writing, you don't even have to know your face or see what you look like. Just sit there and write, it's perfect.
So having been, you know, privy to a lot of news and a lot of celebrities over what is almost 2 decades now, if we're doing the math correctly.
21?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Who do you think the South African media has been unfair to?
Phew. Yeah. Who do I think social media has been unfair to? Before I answer that question, let me say this, that the media does not operate from a bubble up in the sky. The media is part of society, it's part of... Journalists are people from your community, they are your children, you brought them up, you taught them at some school. So they operate from that context. So my answer is based not only on the media, but on society in general. And I think female celebrities get a lot of flack. I think they get compared and they get given, it's never easy for them. I mean,
but this is a South African and an international phenomenon.
I suppose.
Though. Yeah,
yeah.
it's on every scale.
On every scale.
Yeah.
And I just think that it's unfair that you have to flash a boob, flash a thigh to get in the papers. When a man is in a suit, it's perfect. But a girl has to be a page 3 girl to get attention. And
I think it's profound. We'll wrap it there. No, you don't have to explain yourself. I think that's quite profound, and I 100% agree with you. So my chat continues with the ever humble, he's so Lesley Mofokeng. When we come back on the other side of this, we ask him what he thinks of the current climate in the entertainment industry. You wanna come back for that though, huh? And we're coming to the end of the show. If you've just tuned in, where have you been? Lesley Mofokeng is my guest today, and he has interviewed Quincy Jones. So when did I ask you? About 10 minutes ago, I asked you if Quincy Jones had to write a song about you, what would the song be? You tweeted us at Real Talk on 3, hashtag Real Talk with Anele. Tabiso says, a song about me would be titled No Nonsense Woman or Superwoman. All right. Maramukwena N at Mamarukwena N says, my song would be Sad Story. At Buleng Adal, my title would be Oh What a Beautiful Soul. Him too. And at E2 Mashile, my favorite one, More Than a Statistic. More than a statistic. Don't you like that one?
Big word though. For a song. Statistic.
You can't sing that in a song, hey?
More than a statistic.
No. More than a stat.
More than a stat.
More than a stat. All right. So listen, everything has happened in the past week in South Africa.
Everything.
And the beauty about Real Talk being live now on SABC3 is that we can be current. So let's talk about this. You spoke about the Metro FM Awards earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And then you said, as a whole, you find that award shows are quite divisive. Yes. Unpack that for me.
You know what? The thing about Metro FM Awards and music awards, especially in South Africa, is that I think there is not enough education. Metro FM Awards are not about talent.
What are they about?
About numbers. Who gets the most votes?
Who gets the most votes?
At the end of the day, it's a popularity contest. You might be talented than me, technically better singer, better dancer, better performer, but if your followers vote more than my followers vote, you will win.
So you're saying that the education in the mechanics of the awards, it's something Metro FM needs to talk about all the time. Like, remember guys, if you're not voting for your person, they're not going to win.
You want to win. Because people keep saying, oh, but this one is better than that one. Well, it's not about that. It's about who got the most votes. The summers are different. The summers, there's a panel that sits down, supposed to be experts, people who know what they're doing, who've covered the music, the genre. So they pass judgment there. It's a different thing. And where you can actually get a proper accounting of what was wrong.
How it happened.
Yes, how it happened. But with the Metros and the Crown Gospel Awards, all of these awards, it's about popularity. It's about the votes that get in. It's a popularity contest. It's not about
sticking with Metro, shuffling all around in the past week. Glenn out, fresh in. What's your take on it?
The shuffle, that word, it's traumatizing the nation. Shuffling.
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
I think after so many years of seeing Glenn Lewis on Metro, he had become part of the furniture, he had become part of the ancestors, he was just there. He's my guy, he's my favorite guy, he knows. But I think it's time for change. And when they said that Fresh has moved to Metro, I actually celebrated.
Okay.
I thought that it's a perfect feed. The big dog. I mean, I've been following the big dog since YFM.
Yeah.
And I think it's a perfect feed. I think he sounds fresh.
Yeah.
Excuse the pun.
Excuse that pun. And Somizi with him?
Somizi with him, and I think Somizi is coming into his own. And, and I think it's a better pairing than it was with
Somizi and Khanyi.
Yeah.
Because you have to have a radio person there, right? Because Somizi...
You said it.
No. And I mean, I've said this to Somizi as well, that like someone must do the housekeeping of the radio and you must just be personality.
The personality.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to Bonang out, Dineo in.
Hey, yeah, nee. Well, we have a story tomorrow in the Sowetan, read it, about how Dineo did not see this coming. It was not her plan to come back to TV.
Radio?
To come back to radio.
Yeah.
I haven't heard enough of it, but I thought Bonang handled the front row very well. I think she was amazing, and the features of the show worked. And I'm sure her followers and her listeners must be really traumatized by this sudden separation. And suddenly there are these two new voices coming on. And I like Lerato Khanyago. I really think Lerato is a sweet woman who has done so much in the industry. And I think she's coming into her own. And I really wish them the best.
And where do you think Bonang will go next?
Motsweding FM. I'm joking.
No, I mean... Definitely. I mean, we've got Patco, who was the breakfast host of Umhlabo Wenene, which is, you know, one of the national broadcasters, and now he's privatizing
to Rhythm,
to Rhythm in
East London,
Eastern Cape. So I mean, you know, Bonang moving to Motsweding wouldn't
and
be
she still has her Tswana. She still wore tlatlamolla, so she can tlatlamolla Motsweding FM. So I think she should consider that. It'll be a nice, interesting move, because I think as a personality, as a DJ, you also have to reinvent yourself, but most importantly, challenge yourself and see if you're still up to the task.
And this is something you can speak about and even bring in print, which is what you are, and it's your love, and it's what you started doing by making newspapers as a young child. The digital aspect. So you had to face the digitizing of your industry when blogs came out and websites came out, where you were constantly fighting the digitizing of things. What about radio? What are you thinking of the digital radio that's coming up? I mean, we've got Touch, who's got that, Gareth Cliff, who started it, and I hear DJ Smooth also going into that field now. What's your take?
Wow. I wonder if we have enough, is the word bandwidth?
Yeah, data.
Data. That's really my only concern. And also space on my phone. I downloaded that Touch HD, not HD, the first one. And now I have to delete so many apps to make space for Touch HD. That's my only concern. But I think it's a brilliant, brilliant move. I think it's the future. I mean, anyone who will deny that digital is here to stay is sticking their head in the sand, and it's not going to take them anywhere. I really think we have to be up to that and not be found wanting when it's actually all the rage. We have to be ahead of the curve. I think what Touch is doing is really an amazing effort, and bringing all of these big names and these personalities as draw cards, I think is a great investment that will work for him. But definitely digital is the future. We see that even in newspapers.
Yes, that's what I was saying to you, that and now that we're here, how did you amalgamate yourself? Because you are a books, words, print guy.
Print,
you know,
pages.
how did you...
Exactly that.
Yeah, how did you... what's the shift like?
It has been very difficult, I must be honest with you, because of, you know, you can't teach old dogs new
tricks.
But to survive the industry, you have to adapt. You have to actually be with the times, excuse the pun again, and just be in there. So, because for example, today, when someone says there's a story about Anele in the paper, the first question they ask is, where is the link? They don't rush to the garage to buy the newspaper. Who still does that? And it hurts print. But we still hold on to the traditionalists, people who still believe that they want to turn the page and smell that ink.
And break the back of the book. I hear what you're saying. Right, we're going to wrap. Before we do that, Khanyi Mbau, acquiring Elle magazine and Elle Home. She's still going into print and she's good at it. Destiny's numbers are rising. What's your take on it before we leave?
I think I don't know about Elle magazine because I mean it had been sold off to so many other owners here and there. But there's something about Khanyi Mbau that is so magical and alluring, and just there's a formula that she has, that she uses, that works for her. Magazines are going down, Destiny's going up. Elle was kind of on a plateau and it's going to go up.
It's going to go up.
There's a touch. There's something that she does. I don't know if it's the MBA from Harvard.
No, it's inherently in her, like writing is inherently in you. Thank you so much for joining us on Real Talk here on 3. You are magic, okay? Please carry on writing. Do not ever stop writing. It is your thing. I'm sure you've learned a lot, just as I have in this past hour. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time on SABC 3, where the stage is yours. Goodbye.